Welcome back to Podcast Recovery, everyone. We're your hosts, David O.
Carly R.
And Eric B.
And today we are joined by our very special guest, Ellen. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So where are you from, Ellen?
So I'm from Colorado Springs, Colorado. I'm a native. I've grown up here and I'm still here. I'm 35 and never, I left for a little bit, but never wanted to leave for good.
Nice. See, you said memoirs, and in my mind, I was like, oh, this is an older lady, but then you just said 35, so I was like, oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
Well,
I'm 33, and I can't fathom writing my memoirs.
Some people also think Ellen is like a grandma name, so you never know.
Oh, I didn't think that.
It is. I've met a couple Ellens that are my age, but most of them are a little bit older.
All right. It's just memoirs threw me off.
But I'm an old soul. It's okay.
And only me? No? Memoirs? Okay.
No,
they're looking at me like I have three heads. Okay, that's fine. So when were you first introduced to recovery, Ellen? You guys are jerks.
When did I first get into recovery?
When were you first introduced to recovery?
So I was first introduced when I was about 23, 24, but it didn't stick because I was doing it for somebody. My first introduction to AA was with an ex-boyfriend, and he was doing it because he was on parole, so he had to wear the little
the anklet
wrist thing that that could tell if he drank or not. And so he actually never drank, in our relationship, we never drank together, but I obviously was drinking a lot, not understanding what it's like to be the person trying to stay sober in a relationship with someone drinking. But so he asked me to go with him to a few meetings, and it got to the point where he said, try to go to 30 meetings in 30 days. And I did that, but I just was like, I don't have a problem here. This is, I'm just doing this for him. And, I don't want him to break up with me. So I'll try it out and see what goes on. So that obviously didn't stick. So I had another several years of drinking. And then my actual recovery birthday or sobriety date is January 12th, 2017 is the last day I had a drink. So this recent time, I did go to a rehab facility and actually did the work for myself. And that was the biggest difference, was I was doing it for me and not anybody else.
Oh, awesome. And you answered my last question, which was how long you've been clean. And you said January 2017?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, so coming up on 4 years.
Fantastic. All right. Well, with all that out of the way, we're going to turn it over to you to share your story with us. So take it away.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. I just want to thank you first for having me today. I love being on podcasts and I love being featured. So, like I said, I'm Ellen and I'm a Colorado Springs native. So born and raised here in Colorado. I had totally normal upbringing. Nothing, no traumatic incidences or anything like that. I was a total tomboy. I hung out with my brother all the time. He's 2.5 years older than me. So I just wanted to do everything he did. I kind of idolized him. And, in school, I was always straight A student. I was in band. I played sports. I pretty much did all the things, checked off all the things that you need. And then, I partied a couple times in high school, but not really. I was pretty naive and prude and didn't really do parties. The thing that really got me into my addictions was my first boyfriend that I met when I was 17. He introduced me to meth, amphetamine. So I kind of started with, I know, I started hardcore.
Yeah, that jumped up a notch really quick.
Yep. Real fast. As you can tell, there's a pattern, and I went through several relationships where I changed myself completely and tried to be whatever they wanted me to be. And so that obviously is something that I'm working through now in sobriety. But so this guy, got me into meth, and I didn't know he was like, we met at Catholic church. It's like,
what?
Gotta watch out for those Catholics.
Expect.
Yeah, those Catholic meth heads, you know? Just come out of nowhere.
They do sneak up on you. So, I was this goody two-shoes and had never really done anything wrong. And like the first time I ever did it was the night before my senior prom. And I was so naive. Like, I literally was just, think of the stereotypical, like, goody two-shoes high school girl. Like, that was me. And then I met this guy and I fell in love with him and thought that, like, you do everything that he wants you to do for love. I don't know. Oof. I don't know. I just obeyed, So anyway, I think he was already into it. Like, I just didn't know. But he just, pulled out a little baggie and was like, "Oh, do you want to try this with me?" And I was like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's just meth." I was like, "Okay." So yeah, that I did that the first time the night before my senior prom. And so the senior prom was pretty dumb because I was so tired because I hadn't slept the entire night before and all I wanted to do was go home and sleep.
Sounds about right.
That was a bust. So my story starts with drugs instead of alcohol. I was in this relationship and he was incredibly controlling and manipulative. And since he was my first love, I kind of just thought everything was normal, thought everything I was doing was normal and just wanted him to like me and love me and stay with me. And so I did whatever he wanted. So I did move to Denver for like my freshman and sophomore year of college. And I wasn't partying very hard yet because he didn't want me to party when he wasn't there. So of course I didn't like do anything during the weeks. We had this pact that like we wouldn't do anything without each other, which made me totally lame. And like, I don't think he really stuck to it, but I did. I didn't drink during the week without him. I didn't go to parties without him. I didn't do anything whatsoever. And so I'm just trying to live a regular college life, which I wasn't really doing at all because I wasn't doing anything like I just felt like I wasn't allowed to. But like it wasn't really out of control until my sophomore year of college. The relationship was just getting worse and we did start doing meth like every day. So that doesn't make any relationship better. And
yeah, that generally doesn't go hand in hand with healthy relationships.
That doesn't help anything at all. But still, I thought that he was like the one, and I was at this point thinking maybe I probably shouldn't be doing meth, but also at the same time I liked it, and
of course,
I feel like I've always been an addict. Like I was born with the gene, so I just kept going, and I didn't want to break up with him because he was my source essentially. So we continued our relationship for 3.5 years. It turned out that I ended up moving to Cincinnati for him. because he got a job out there and I just followed him. And that led me to crack and cocaine because apparently meth wasn't a big thing out there at the time. So I kind of switched drugs of choice at that time, and this just completely, I was not able to function as well on those drugs. So I was like failing out of school and everything was falling apart. I finally was able to get out of that relationship and move back to Colorado Springs. So I just kind of quit. Since I was no longer with him, I just quit doing drugs cold turkey. He was basically like the person who got me into it and was like my source and everything. And once he was gone, I was just like done with it. I have absolutely no idea really how I did that. It's crazy when I look back on it. But so now I'm 21, and so I just did replace it with alcohol, basically. So, I mean, I guess that kind of made it easier, but I don't even know how to light my own bowls or anything. Like, he did everything for me because he was so controlling. So I'm like the most naive drug addict in the world. It's ridiculous. So,
wow.
From there, yeah.
You were not even a functioning method.
I know. Yeah, I just let him control me in every way. And it was obviously just not a good relationship and not a good way to start my college career. But I learned a lot from it. I try not to live with regrets for it, you know. I did end up getting back into school in Colorado Springs, and life was way more manageable. You know, I wasn't on drugs anymore. I was just drinking every day. So I felt that I missed out on my college life completely, because, you know, I didn't get to go to the parties or do any of the fun things that you do in college because he didn't want me to unless he was with me. And so I think I kind of made up for it with my drinking. So I would go out like 5 nights a week drinking. And so I became the party girl that way. And it was just normal for me, I guess. To me, it was normal to drink every day. And I guess I just I don't have the button where I can stop, you know. Once I start, I just continue drinking. So, like, it's I was talking to my mom the other day, and she was like, well, but I also think I drink every day at 5. And I'm like, yeah, Mom, but you have one drink. Like, you don't drink from the time you start drinking until the time you pass out. Like, I take it to the next level and, you know, just drink from 5 p.m. till I can't stand up anymore. But so, yeah, my 20s were basically drinking. I didn't think, so obviously, like, there was that relationship I talked about where he took me to AA, because he thought I was drinking enough to need it. But at that time I was like, no way, I'm not homeless. I'm not losing jobs. I'm not getting DUIs. There's no issue here. Like, I just am having a good time, and this is what you're supposed to do in your 20s. And so I just continued with that mindset, I guess. And all of my social circles were, you know, drinking, obviously. My brother drank a lot. We hung out a lot. And since we grew up together as such good friends, I still, you know, wanted to do everything he did. I always wanted to, like, drink for drinks with him. And he's like 6'5", you know, 220 pounds, and I'm 5'9", 130. I'm trying to take shots the way he does. It's ridiculous, but it always had to be the same, equal. It was like if he was drinking, I always wanted to keep up with the guys for whatever reason. But it got to the point, so I drank every day, but I don't think it was like blackout drinking or getting wasted drinking every day. It was just, that's what I did. Mm-hmm. And then I'd go to sleep. When I moved in with my now husband, so we've been together for, I just had my friend anniversary or whatever with him on Facebook. You liked him for the first time or whatever. 11 years.
Wow.
But yeah, so we've been together 11 years, but married for 5. Mm-hmm. But when I moved in with him, that's when I started hiding vodka in the closet because I just needed more than normal to get through a regular, like I would still just start drinking at 5, but I needed so much more to get to that comfortable place that I wanted to be. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of knew at that point, like most people probably don't hide vodka in closets. But
no, the old closet vodka is it's a common amongst us people.
Yeah, exactly.
No closet vodka? Okay. Not with these two.
I liked it. But I just wasn't, I wasn't ready to accept that, I had an issue drinking. So I continued just drinking pretty heavily until I was, I think, 32. So I feel like I had several kind of rock bottoms. It was getting to the point where, like the fun Ellen turned into the violent, rageful, drunk, blackout Ellen who wanted to just like beat up people and
that sounds like Carly.
Hurt other people. Yeah.
No, am I wrong? You're not a punchy drunk?
No.
Really?
Really?
Huh. Okay, that's fair. Sorry, continue, Ellen.
I would punch walls a lot.
I did do that.
Okay, there you go. There she is.
Yeah.
There's drunk Carly.
There's drunk Carly. Walls and slam doors. I was very violent towards loved ones. So there were several incidences where it was just like, oh my God, you need to calm down. But I just, the next day I'd be like, oh, I had the wrong mix, or, I shouldn't have mixed tequila with vodka, or, maybe someone like slid something into my drink at the bar, or, just trying to come up with any excuse for my behavior.
Yeah.
And I just continued to keep drinking that way for years. And I really enjoyed having that secret. I liked getting away with it, and I liked hiding it, and I felt good about it. And it made me happy. It made me really excited. And it was just like my thing. I was like, I would go chug from the closet and then get my Listerine and look in the mirror, and like it would either be like I would gleam at myself and be like, yes, you're so cool, you're getting away with this, you're awesome, like good job. Or it would be like, you motherfucker, like you need to stop doing this, why are you doing this to yourself, you're ruining your life. So it was like two different people.
Yep.
And yeah, so it just got to the point where I completely, I felt my life was completely unmanageable, and I was drinking in the morning. I was drinking from my closet before I went to work, and I just needed it. My husband and so we got married, and like we both still drank together, and we were trying to get pregnant. And that's when I kind of got to the realization that I couldn't stop, like whatsoever. And we did have to go through fertility treatments, and even on like spending thousands of dollars on stuff that makes you ovulate and shots and blah, blah, blah. I was still just drinking a ton, chugging vodka like it was normal, drinking 6 glasses of wine a night. And I was like, okay, so even if I do get pregnant, like I'm not stopping, there's that like 2-week wait or whatever from when you think you possibly got pregnant to when you test. And I would drink that entire time. And my husband was like, we're going to have a healthy lifestyle, and we're going to quit drink. Like he quit drinking. He didn't know that I was still doing like shooters and stuff. And so that's when I really was like, holy shit, I can't even stop for a kid. I can't even, I've always wanted kids, and I can't. I was like terrified to get pregnant, even though that's all I wanted. So it was a really terrible, terrible time, because I have always wanted children, and he's always wanted children, and we were doing fertility treatments, and it was just, it was a mess, because I couldn't stop. And so in the midst of all of that is kind of when everything fell apart. And I just realized that I needed, if I wanted the family life and, everything, that I would need to quit, because there was no way I was going to get it otherwise, basically. So I think that kind of, so we tried to get pregnant for almost 3 years, and about 1.5 years of it I was drinking. And then I went to rehab, and then there was the rehab stay, and that was my last drink, was the January 12th. And so then we still had, I kind of wanted to see what my body did once I quit drinking and all of that. But yeah, so that's kind of like the nutshell of my story. I'm sure you have tons of questions, but there wasn't like one certain thing that led me to get sober. It was just, everything just crashed down on me pretty much.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we definitely have some questions. Would anybody like to go first?
I think from now on, instead of asking if anyone wants to go first, you should just go first.
Why? I'm not that rude, Eric.
I'm giving you the right now.
I would love for you to go first.
Yeah, just go first.
Okay. All right. Okay, so you're right around our age, Ellen. Like I'm 33, Eric's 32. Are you 30?
32.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, all right. I remember this time. Carly's 28. Yes? 29?
29.
Oh, wow. You should have just taken 28. What's wrong with you?
I love meeting people my age.
So we're all kind of in like the Dare program era. And
Yes.
okay, so my question was like, were you like taught about drugs before taking the leap to meth? Because at age 17, you're like, that's a really big leap to take. Like,
I know.
Like, how did you get from 0 to meth?
Yeah.
So it's literally just there's this picture in my mind of me wearing a Dare shirt and like doing the whole Dare thing and all of the Dare stuff. Like I remember it very specifically. I am just.
You just like that dude so that much?
Yes, I am so codependent and such a people pleaser. And this is definitely something that I'm learning in like my 12-step program and everything. But yeah, I literally just was like tired of being the good girl, I guess. And
that ended real quick.
Since he was the one that I was with at the time, and that's what he was into, I just was like, okay, let's do this. And yeah, people that know me from high school and that know me now, they're just like, what? Like, they're completely shocked when I get to that part of my story. It's just like, I was just so into him and thought that I don't even know. Like, I thought you do anything for the person you love. And since he was my first love, I didn't know any different. So, and then I feel like I just have the addiction in me. So that's what started it, you know?
All right. Yeah, that's fair. And for anybody who's listening out there, DARE, if you don't know what the DARE program was, it was a drug awareness program to keep kids off drugs. And I think Ellen's a prime example that it didn't work.
It didn't.
It did not work for any of us.
No.
I know.
And DARE is still around.
Is it still around?
It is.
Good Lord.
Yeah, we have a police officer come in.
That is a waste of money.
Is there a lion? DARE has a lion.
Yeah,
right?
it's like a lion. Yeah.
It's like a lion.
I don't know why. Why? You'd be lying if you didn't like drugs? Hey-o! That was a good one. That was a solid dad joke. All right.
That was a dad joke, all right.
Okay, thank you. Who's next? Carly? What you got?
Sure. So, I mean, this is just obviously, like, it's impacted everybody the past year, but COVID, how has that affected your recovery?
It's been really, I've only been to one, like, live meeting or whatever, since COVID started. And so it's actually been really interesting because, so I know not everyone does follow like AA and the 12-step program, but that is what I do. But I also have jumped into like finding all these online communities, which is really cool. I didn't really know I started my Instagram page and wanted to do it as like a recovery and infertility thing. And I had no idea how big Instagram is, but yeah, so I've just been doing Zoom meetings, which is for some, like my home group is literally a bunch of like 79-year-old people, and I love them so much. They remind me of my grandparents, but them and Zoom is like not.
That's probably hilarious.
It is hilarious. So there's like one lady is really good at everything, so she has people over to her house and they all like merge around the computer. And
that's not CDC guidelines. You're not supposed to do that.
I know.
That's completely anti the point of the Zoom meeting.
They wear their masks and they, sit far apart. They have like 2 different rooms, and then all the other people like call in from their phones. It's hilarious, but so it's totally impacted it. It's taken the personal stuff away, but at least we have, video conferences and whatever. We can do the Zoom meetings. It's been some people have been trying to get me to go to like Zoom meetings in different cities and different countries and all this stuff. And I think that's really cool. The time differences, and I just never have time. I have twins now. Obviously, the infertility stuff worked. We finally were able to have babies. But COVID has made it like I feel isolated, but I also feel like I feel like all the people I'm meeting are online, and now I have all these friends that I've never met in person. It's just interesting to me, I guess.
Yeah.
Like you guys, I reached out to on Instagram, and like that's how I'm meeting people now. It's like, there's this whole online community that I didn't know about before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Which I think is really good. It's like a different way of looking at sobriety, you know?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's completely changed the game of recovery, I think. What about you, Eric?
All right. So next question. So you're coming up on 4 years, and you mentioned that you met that first love. He was Catholic, right? The Catholic method?
Yes, the Catholic method.
Okay.
The ever elusive.
That'd be like a good comic book or something, the Catholic method.
Yeah.
Just like a weird adventure.
It's going to be my next punk band name, Catholic Method.
Oh, that's a good
It's a good one.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
That you
That's
should
better
write
than
that down.
5-car pileup.
Yeah. Okay. So back to the question though.
It's a good band name, though.
So before you came to recovery, did you practice any faith?
So I grew up Catholic, and I went to Catholic school through 4th grade.
Okay.
And then in high school, I went to church every week. And the way I met that guy, I play the flute. And so I played the flute at church. And I would see everyone walking up for communion and stuff. And so that's how I noticed him. And so I've always had Catholicism in my background. But I haven't been like a weekly churchgoer since high school, I would say.
Okay.
But I have always had a belief in God. And so that made it easier for me to understand in the whole higher power thing. I know a lot of people struggle with that. But I've always, I also blame Catholicism for some of my shit. So, like,
that sounds like a
guilt
Catholic.
and shame.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
Oh, that was not shade. Come on.
Leave us Catholics alone.
I hear about the Catholic guilt though all the time.
Oh yeah, that is 100% real.
I know my wife was brought up Catholic, and she always feels guilty about certain things. Where I'm just like,
just stop.
Yeah,
just don't.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, and the phrase "recovering Catholic" is a real thing.
Yeah. So
for sure,
that's what they say.
So Ellen, here's my question though: is how has your spirituality and faith evolved since you've been in the rooms?
It's gotten stronger, I would say. So, It's gotten me back in touch with a higher power, I would say. And, I mean, there were just the years where I was drinking or using, I would go every time I went to church, I would joke like, oh, why am I not up in flames or whatever. But I feel like it's brought me back to, I mean, I feel like I've always had someone watching out for me. Obviously, there's been crazy things that I should not have survived or gone through, you know. Someone out there has been watching over me. And now I am in a better place and contact with that person or that being.
Nice.
So it's made me a lot more spiritual and close with my spiritual guides, I guess.
All right. Okay. Where am I going to go? All right. So you mentioned when, like you were sort of going to AA for the guy that, and you didn't really think you had a problem. You sort of said what I've heard from so many people, and like I thought as well. And it's like the vision of what an addict is. And you said, well, like, I'm not homeless. I'm not living on the street, blah, blah, blah. So like, why do you think like the vision of what an addict is some sort of like derelict homeless person? Like, why is that?
I know. And I don't know if it's, you know, movies or society and everything just makes us think that way. But, I don't know. I just feel like at that time in my life, I felt like I was better than everyone that was sitting at that table with me. And because I felt like I didn't have an issue. But I don't know where that stereotype comes from. I mean, it sounds like you guys think there's I mean, don't you think there's a stereotype of what an alcoholic is?
I mean, not really, because addiction crosses so many borders and racial boundaries and social status. Like it doesn't really matter. So there really is no stereotype, but for some reason we all have this idea that it's like,
I don't know if it's really a stereotype, but a stigma. Like, for sure.
Oh, yeah. But like, yeah.
There we go.
And it's just not portrayed as normal. Like, we're all, as far as I'm concerned, fairly normal individuals. And if we told people now, like, oh, yeah, we're recovering addicts, they'd probably look at us weird and be like, "What? You look so put together and everything." So it is a social thing.
It is. But I guess I don't know where like it comes from. It just seems like society as a whole thinks of addicts or alcoholics in a certain way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wasn't really like expecting you to have like a glorious answer. Like I just wanted to, I've asked that to several people because it's weird to me and I just like to hear everybody's opinion because like, it's a common thing that I hear. It's just that, I wasn't homeless. And a lot of us, I used it as an excuse for a long time to keep using. I was like, well, I'm not fucking homeless. I have all my teeth. I'm fine.
Well, yeah, so, for me, it was, I didn't lose my job. Like, I still have a house. Like, I'm functioning in society. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with me. Yeah.
So we're not an addict.
Exactly. I know.
Eric's not an addict. He's just perfect.
Obviously.
She knows. There you go.
Hey, I like the reinforcement, you know?
I'm glad you're so humble, Eric. All right, what do you got, Carly?
So I know David said it before, like him being like 33 and not having like could have even thought about like writing a memoir. So I was just curious as to like what has inspired you to want to write your memoir. I've always wanted to help people. So like when I went to college,
I at first wanted to do like psychology and be a psychologist or a psychiatrist or whatever. And then I was like high all the time and like reading these books like, oh shit, I have all of these problems. I don't want to look at myself and learn all these things. So I've just always had a yearning to help people, I guess. And so I feel like I can write this now, and like I've been through, you know, drug addiction, alcoholism, and then infertility. I feel like there's a few people that may relate to all of those things. And I just want to be a person that can help anyone going through it or who's been through it, or, you know, a family member of someone going through it. I just want to help is basically what I'm doing. So by writing it, I want to get, you know, it out there more, like make it known that it's like anyone can have this. Because like you said, it's like everything was totally fine. And then boom, I'm like a meth head. Like, I just want to be there for other people going through it.
So kind of letting people know like they're not going through it alone. Like this is something real that happens, and like being able to almost normalize it for somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. So,
but you know,
oh, go ahead, Ellen.
I was just going to say, I'll just start my next memoir when I'm 60, you know, I'll do like a memoir every 30 years or something.
Memoir 2.0.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So my last question here is, so recovery, I feel like, you know, recovery is, you know, a journey. And when people kind of think it's this finite thing, we kind of lose track of the progression that we've made since we came here, and how the evolution of what recovery means from day one to, you know, the current day. So how would you describe kind of your evolution in recovery? And then secondarily, what does recovery mean to you today?
Got it. Okay. That's a lot all in one thing.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I've grown a ton in recovery. I feel like, honestly, the 12-step program, I think everybody in the world should do, like whether they're an addict or not. Like it's a great way to look at yourself and to, learn more about yourself and just grow, I think, personally. But I've learned a lot about, obviously, you know, I used to just do everything for boys. I was a people pleaser, codependent, all of those things. So I've been learning my part in everything. Which is a huge thing because I would just place the blame on everyone else. And I've been able to do it. I mean, recovery, you have to actually feel all your feelings, which really fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But it's good to learn about yourself, I guess. And it just feels like I'm becoming more mature as a person, and I've been able to, you know, deal with things that I never thought I would be able to deal with without having a drink. And I'm able to just do things that I used to have like 6 shots of vodka in order to even consider doing them, you know? It's just, I feel like the journey is taking me to places that I would never get to if I were still drinking, obviously. But so what recovery means to me, it's just like, to me, it's my life, because I wouldn't have my kids if I didn't get sober. So I'm a twin mom. I have Noah and Bella. And like, I had to be sober in order to have them, I don't know. It's just like everything I have now, I wouldn't if I were still drinking or using.
Yeah. All right. I think, I got one final question for you. You talked a little bit about you just really stealthily glazed over it really subtly. I like that. You talked about sort of being a codependent, and this is normally Eric's question, so I'm stealing it from him.
That's fine. Maybe I was giving it to you.
Don't try and Jedi mind trick me, you motherfucker. God, I hate you. We need to go to couples counseling. But no. So in recovery, how have you addressed your codependency at all, and like how have you gone about that, and what how do you define a healthy relationship today? And I would say that includes a healthy relationship with yourself, others, and your higher power.
Right. Okay. So I have addressed it. I still feel it's hard for me to not try to be a people pleaser all the time. And so it's like a daily struggle for me. I still struggle with it, and I still always am more worried about everyone else than myself. And it's just something that I have to remind myself every day. That, I don't need to change who I am to make someone else happy. I just need to be myself.
Absolutely.
And it's like a daily reminder. As far as just being with, I guess I'm just learning so much about myself that I feel that I'm better in relationships. I'm not, as I just used to be blaming everyone, and everyone was at fault, and I never did anything wrong. And now I can actually see where I'm at fault and apologize and, go from there. So it's like, instead of having like an angry relationship, I can say, oh, I'm sorry for doing that. That was my bad. Let's move on, So it's just good to be able to see everything a little bit clearly, whatever. Without the haze of alcohol, because it would just make me angry, and everyone else was the problem, not me.
All right. Do you have any further questions? All right. She gave me the finger, so I think that is about time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we would like to thank our guest, Ellen, for joining us this evening. Woo!
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. And Ellen, where can our guest find more information about you?
So I am on Instagram as it's Ellen Elizabeth, and I'm also on Facebook and Twitter with the same name. But I do the most on Instagram right now. So it's Ellen Elizabeth is where you can find me, and you can find my link tree and everything in there. I'm working on getting my website put up, but it's not quite ready yet. So that will be coming. And when that's ready, it's going to also be itsellandelizabeth.com.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Easy enough.
Yeah, nice and easy. All right. Well, here at Podcast Recovery, we are aiming to expand the scope of support for recovering addicts. Accessibility and convenience of helpful services is paramount to combating addiction. We work to bring the message of recovery to every addict, wherever and whenever it is needed. We believe that a powerful voice of recovery should be obtainable, practical, and at the touch of a button. Every addict deserves to hear a message of hope, and Podcast Recovery is here to provide it. And now I'm going to turn it over to Eric.
So here at Podcast Recovery, we are fully self-supporting, and we need your help to keep the mics turned on. So you can join our Patreon and become a member of the home group, or throw some money in the digital basket
Big
on
trust.
our PayPal account. Also, please like, subscribe, share, follow, comment, and do everything that you can do on these social media sites. Such as YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or wherever else you can find Podcast Recovery.
Yeah, and for more information about Eric, Carly, Allie, and myself, go to podcastrecovery.com. But most importantly, everybody out there,
Stay safe and stay clean.
nailed it.